Welcome everyone, kia ora koutou katoa. It's lovely to have you join us today for this webinar. I'm Nadine Berry. I'm in the Waikato region and I'm the Waikato Regional Coordinator for the New Zealand Landcare Trust. We work to support sustainable land and water management through community involvement. And I'd like to start today with a karakia. Has that moved to the karakia? Which is whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina kina ki uta, ki mā tara tara ki tai. Ehi aki ana te a ka kura, he tiao, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei mauri ora. So welcome everybody. Oh, I know what the problem is. I'm not sharing my screen. That's why. Sorry everybody. Let me do that now. Can you see that? So that's the welcoming slide. And here is our karakia for today, which I just read. And so I'd like, welcome again. It's a rainy day here, perfect for being inside and learning more about what TrapNZ is all about. Just got some housekeeping, so you should be able to see the chat box. So if you'd like to put in where you're from, it'd be lovely to see where you're from. We've got over 100 registrations today, so welcome everybody, and use the Q&A button for questions. So I'm sure you've all been to many of these before and you know what to do. So I'd like to introduce Andy Saunders here, who's on the screen with me, from Predator Free Whiriwhiri. And I'd like to do a big shout out to all the people in lockdown in Auckland and say thank you for doing the hard yards for us so that we can move to level 2 and well, tomorrow, and you guys are there until next week. So thank you very much. You're in a landlocked, you're in the Waikato region, aren't you, Andy? But you're landlocked by Auckland, so you're in lockdown. So I appreciate you coming along today. So I will hand over to you, and I don't know why my presentation didn't go to the next one. But never mind, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and hand over to you there, Andy, and you can share your screen. Oh, welcome everybody. It's great to see you coming, all the people coming in there. Wonderful.
Right, has that worked? Can you see?
I can see that. But,
you can see that. That's a good start.
Yep. Cool.
Right, so kia ora koutou, Andrew Saunders is my name, and yes, I'm the coordinator of Predator Free Whiriwhiri. It's a project in the northwest Waikato, which is just above the exit of the Waikato River. I also work for Trap.NZ and for Predator Free Franklin. Predator Free Franklin kind of comes under the umbrella of taiao, which is an organisation with Auckland Council, DOC, Waikato Regional Council, any of the local landcare groups and any other group that's interested in ecology in the area. I originally trained as a joiner before retraining in software development, which is what I've done for the past 20 years, both here and offshore. And I also grew up on a deer farm, which is not too far from where we live now. My job with Trap.NZ came about from complaining too much to Ground Truth about the old system, and they might have offered me the job to keep me quiet. I'm not sure, but it may have worked. I have no formal training in ecology or social science or statistics, and I never thought twitching would be a pastime I could entertain, but nonetheless, these are the subjects that fill my head at 3 a.m, which is normally after a trap sensor alarm has woken the whole house. With that said, the numbers I'm going to show you today are based on citizen science methods, and they're the best we can do with the tools that we have. I think the point of the webinar is not the numbers themselves, but the ability to collect those numbers. 2 years ago, I presented our Whiriwhiri project at a regional landcare event. The theme then was how we've used technology, specifically Trap.NZ, to manage our project, to inspire the landowners and to measure the results. 2 years on from that, it's been interesting to prepare this presentation and reflect on the lessons we've learned in a relatively short period of time. In that same time, Trap.NZ has evolved quite a bit, and so have the other technologies we now use out in the field. So I'll talk about those a little bit later on. To get everyone up to speed with the basics of Trap.NZ, I thought I'd force you all through our introductory video. It's only 3 minutes long, so hopefully it's not too painful.
How can we help our natural environment? Will one trap in my backyard make any difference in bringing back more of our native animals, lizards, birds and trees? With the collective powers of TrapNZ, we can make a big impact. Firstly, your data, even if it's from a small area the size of your backyard, is automatically combined with thousands of projects around New Zealand to create millions of data records. With TrapNZ, these records can be combined to show hotspot maps of trapping activity with numbers and types of pests killed. Which means that communities can easily see which traps are most effective and manage their pest control program, whether it's the size of a backyard or thousands of hectares. It's easy to set up or join an existing project. Register your name, enter a little background information about your project, mark out the area using the outline map, and you're done. Or, if you're interested in joining an existing project, simply click on Find Projects and request membership of a project in your area. Enter traps, bait, or monitoring stations directly. Once you have entered them the first time, simply add catches to your traps each time you check them. We also have a mobile app for both Android and Apple phones, allowing you to capture data while in the field and offline. As well as simple maps and charts showing the numbers of kills of different pest species, you can produce simple summary tables of kills in easily exportable reports. Heat maps show where the hotspots of activity are. And for project managers, you can check when traps were last checked and make sure you are getting the required coverage. We have also added functionality looking at standardized trapping rates, which takes into account new traps in the network and which traps are actively trapping and which traps have been sprung. TrapNZ can also be used to monitor bird populations in your project area, or monitor chew cards, tracking tunnels and wax blocks. TrapNZ is developed and maintained by Ground Truth, a New Zealand company using science, technology and community engagement to enhance the management of ecosystems and productive landscapes. Most of the funding and governance for TrapNZ comes from a collaborative of regional councils, Crown agencies and landscape scale restoration projects. We have thousands of users and projects, and we are proud of the community we have built and the contribution we are making to help Kiwis with their conservation projects throughout New Zealand. We would love for you to join us making Aotearoa a safer place for our unique and precious flora and fauna. Let's get started.
Cool. Hey, thanks, Andy. I just forgot to say at the beginning in the introduction that we're running this as part of Conservation Week. And so it's great that we're all here and for Conservation Week.
So yeah, getting started, as the floating kakapo said. I thought I'd begin with Predator-Free Franklin. Predator-Free Franklin is, or at Predator-Free Franklin, we made the decision early on that Trap.NZ was going to be the tool to use. The multi-project reporting was going to be critical for us in trying to achieve what we wanted to achieve. We already had the hub day concept, and it was well underway. It's a roadshow where we gave out equipment and education to the public at key locations. Giving the public the ability to map their gear and log results was an obvious evolution of that. We got to the point where the roadshow needed to ease up a little and the hub locations needed to be pinned down. We naturally looked at other success stories around the country, and Wellington was the obvious example. What seemed apparent there was that groups were popping up everywhere and defining their own boundaries. That's absolutely fine, and as stated, it's the key to the success of Trap.NZ, but it seemed to us that we had the opportunity to define the boundaries ourselves before any groups kicked off in Franklin, and to us that seemed a much better way to go. Consequently, we have the predator-free Franklin map, which you can see on our website, and that one looks like that. So that's the area we cover from the west coast across to the east coast. All those white lines are the boundaries of the projects that we've defined. Some of those areas were existing projects like Whakupoko Landcare and Whitu Landcare, Friends of Te Wairoa over in the Hunua. The other projects are ones that we've defined, hoping that somebody put their hands up. So within each of these areas, we tried to encourage existing community groups to take up the challenge of owning the pest problem, land care groups, Rotary, schools, scout groups, etc. And that's an ongoing challenge, but it's worth it, we think. Keeping it local is always the best way. To help facilitate that, each area links through to a sign-up page where trappers register for the newsletter. If people receive trapping gear, we expect them to register that trapping gear. We expect it to be logged on Trap.NZ, and for that purpose we have a Trap.NZ flyer with clear instructions on how to add the installation to their particular project. Adding the flyer has increased our Trap.NZ take up quite a bit. We only did that maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's a noticeable difference. That flyer is actually available to the public if anybody wants it. It's tailored to each project with the project number and the title at the top. So if anyone wants that, let me know and I can arrange that. And the measure of success is displayed on the action map. This is a real-time map of trapping activities and bird counts of all the projects defined in the Franklin area. It also appears on the Predator-Free Franklin website, so you can visit it there and have a play with it. The data feed fed to this page is provided directly from trappers entering data into the Trap.NZ app or website. It's a key motivational tool for us that serves to demonstrate positive outcomes from pest control without compromising privacy. Each of those hexes at the maximum zoom is a 200 square meter area, so it protects the location of those installations. It also provides some easily accessible accountability for our funders. The page is also freely available to projects that want to embed it in a website with their own project data. So if anyone's interested in having that on their website, just let me know and I can provide details of how to get a copy of that. So the app is by far the quickest way to get data into Trap.NZ. It works online and offline, and it'll sync up automatically when the network connection is regained. The interface is either via the map, or if lines are defined within the project, which you see on that left-hand side, then the line listing, some people find that easier to use a line than using a map. It generally takes between 10 and 20 seconds per record. And some will say that it's much quicker to fill in a notebook, which is possibly true, but that doesn't account for the time taken to get it out of the notebook and into the website where it's usable by everyone. That job is often lumped onto project coordinators who often really don't have the time. That said, there are plenty of valid reasons not to use the app. Some trappers just prefer the website, and many projects just collect data from notebooks and upload to the website via a spreadsheet and a bulk upload. And this is what the forms in the app look like. On the left-hand side is the standard trap record form. The middle form is the bait station records, and on the right-hand side is a 5-minute bird count form. There's also a monitoring station form as well, which I've not included there. Each of those forms are designed to minimize the inputs required, so they'll persist the bait type between stations. The bait record will automatically tell you what was in the bait station from the previous fill, all those sort of things, which speed things up no end. And we're always looking to improve the speed of it. So yeah, if you have any suggestions on how you think it might work better, you're welcome to put it up on the forums, and we take note of those. So once we have that data, we can start doing some very cool things with it. At Whiriwhiri, making data entry easy for our landowners means we can very quickly run meaningful reports, such as this bait uptake report. There are something like 40 reporting options available to admins and editors. And again, we're open to ideas on other reports that might be useful for projects. This report in particular shows significant bait uptake in the first season of operation in the Western Valleys of predator-free Whiriwhiri, so back in 2018. Our bait stations here are at 50-metre intervals through the bush blocks, and we service those 5 times a year. At that density, we've been able to keep the blocks largely clear of rats, as evidenced by the very different uptake report 2 years later, which is this one. So yeah, very pleased with the way that's gone. In this area shown on the map, there's upward of 20 landowners working together. Not all of them are active, but most are, and some are unable to help due to poor health, and for the most part, neighbours will help out there. And Trap.NZ makes that manageable. It tells us when things haven't been serviced, when they're due. So. And the bird count stats, these statistics come from those valleys I've just shown you. 2 years ago, we were pretty excited at doubling the tui count numbers over a couple of seasons, and things have gone a little crazy since then. Note the observation on the bottom right, 25 keridu in one garden. Now that's not unusual for some parts of the country, but for Whiriwhiri, just a bunch of landowners with very low budgets. It's quite a big deal and something we're really proud of. We do have a lot of turari in our bush blocks, and I think that helps us out, but yeah, good results. One of the limitations of operating on working farms, which is primarily what we have around here and across the country, is the time required to check trap lines. We made a decision very early on that kill traps were not a workable solution for Whiriwhiri. Farmers are very quick to spot inefficiencies, and even with the very best intentions, paying the mortgage is the priority. 2 farms in the project take a whole day to do a bait station run, so that's 5 days per year for our maintenance schedule, and that's expensive. To ask them to check traps every 2 weeks, you'd be laughed off the property. So it just wasn't a runner for us. So despite discouraging kill traps, 96 kill traps still exist on the project, and it's a good means of testing things and testing people's will. In the last 2 years, we've worked on remote sensor technology combined with lure dispensers and cage traps. And after 15 months of trialing 6 cages with this setup, we found the catch rates were at least 10 times higher than the kill traps. We also found that the effort required was significantly reduced. The graphs here show the results for the same time period, kill traps on the left, smart cages on the right. And you'll note that there are 3 times as many kill traps as there are smart cages on the project. So yeah, those graphs are still out of kilter. The one on the right should be much higher. The dramatic increase in the right-hand graph, this area here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, that's what happens when you increase the cages from 6 to 34. And that includes over 50 ferrets caught in the last 12 months. So doing the maths, we estimate that a kill with a kill trap was costing us about $40 per animal, and it was costing less than $9 with the smart cages. And that number was decreasing over time. With less animals, you get less visits and consequently cost less. So again, Trap.NZ allows us to generate these records on the fly. It becomes very easy. So another way of demonstrating that was this is our catch record from the start of our project. So keep in mind that our project uses bait stations primarily, and so this just shows our research into finding better ways to trap. The green line is possums, and the downward trend looks really good, but it doesn't tell you how much hard yakka was put in to make that line go down like that. For all that hard yakka, we were only catching possums, and it was only a handful of people doing it, not everyone. So that wasn't maintainable. Few people were prepared to go out and do that. So you'll see at the end here, this is where everybody has got into the game. They can't ignore cages that have gone off, so they just get out there and do it, and they don't have to visit them that often. They're never rebaiting the things, so it's easy work. This morning, I grabbed all the numbers out of Trap.NZ for the projects in Franklin. So this is for the last month, and it compares DOC 200s versus smart cages. So the column on the left suggests that the cages are catching, the column on the right suggests that the cages are catching 14 times more pests than the DOC 200s. And because the smart cages do prompt trappers to record their results because it comes via the app, the people are more inclined to put their results in. So these results are slightly misleading in that not all DOC 200 results will get logged, but it kind of matches what we see with the 10-to-1 kill traps versus cage traps. So either way, this is a win for technology. It either means we're taking out more animals or we're collecting more data, or a combination of the two. Both are good results. So Trap.NZ makes all that possible in a couple of ways. So logging the results we've already covered, but remote sensor functionality is the second one. There's a number of remote sensor providers in New Zealand, and most of those feed their data into Trap.NZ. That means you can get the trap status via the Trap.NZ app or the website, and receive triggered notifications via email. Often at 3 a.m. in the morning. At Whiriwhiri, we use a generic open network IoT sensor solution. That's IoT being the Internet of Things, which is emerging technology, very economical to use. In fact, it's free for us to use once a sensor is attached. The remote monitoring covers the legal requirements of your daily check, and you can do this while you sit there and eat your Weet-Bix. Keep in mind that as the trap owner, you or somebody on your behalf is still required to get your boots on and manually check the trap if for some reason the sensor stops responding. So this message in the middle here is a fairly typical message on a weekly basis. This person was actually riding their bike in the South Island when one of the cages went off. So we're kind of used to looking after each other here. So somebody went and cleared that trap for her. And in fact, over the period she was away, I think 3 or 4 traps went off. So we sorted those ones out for her. So one really important point is that the traps can and ideally are assigned to multiple people in the Trap.NZ system. By doing that, those people all get notifications. The designated person takes primary responsibility for serving and seeing a triggered trap. That's generally the landowner themselves, but it doesn't have to be. There's a real social benefit to this as well, which you can see here. So yeah, we figured there was 9 people in the loop with this one trap going off, so it's 9 people talking about pests. So we found that with the system, our landowners are now just getting on with it. All the feedback so far has been really, really positive. They're actually really enjoying the system. And because they all get notifications, there is that constant chat about what's been caught, which invariably leads to talk of increased bird life and the positive outcomes. So putting that all together, we have traps now that catch 10 times more animals, which are armed and lured 365 days of the year. They never have rotten animals to be dealt with, and they require far less maintenance. But they still get the landowner out there and doing it and appreciating, what they're doing it for, which I think is really important. So in practice, this has been a bit of a game changer for Whiriwhiri. The participating landowners have always wanted to do their pest control. They've just not had an economic way to do it. So we think we might have found a way. It's not the panacea, but it's certainly a lot better than what we could have been doing. So some of the learnings from Whiriwhiri, we've gone a long way, we think, without volunteers or contractors or consultants. The system, we found it needed to be tailored for the people and the landscape. We don't have those volunteers, so we can't have walking lines. We found them more social and efficient. We've made it the better. And the positive nudges are an absolute must, but you need to have the system right first. And we certainly know we've got a hell of a lot to learn. And cacophony and boffamiscal, etc. We watch them eagerly because the answers are coming out of places like that and zip, etc. So just like everyone, we've got our eyes peeled. So that's how we use Trap.NZ at Whiriwhiri, and we're kind of rolling that out across other projects in Franklin to see how that goes. There's quite a lot of interest in the way we use the cages and the remote sensors and the social stuff. So Trap.NZ going forward, we've got a very big list of feature requests and work lined up for the next 12 months. The Jobs for Nature funding, etc., has really increased demand on it. Much of the work we're doing will be around usability and help systems and community support stuff. For us, it's a real balance of rolling out big features for the big players, so that's councils primarily, and still keeping the smaller groups happy. It's a real fine line between making a tool that's very, very powerful and also keeping it easy to use, so that there's a lot of customers who have different needs for the system. And I really see this on a daily basis at Whiriwhiri and at Predator Free Franklin. We're mentoring local Otawa school rat rangers, the farmer next door, the contractor in Wellington on the end of the phone, and then having to report all this back to councils and funders. So it serves a lot of purposes. One of the big pieces of work we've got currently is migrating the features of Walk the Line into Trap.NZ. Walk the Line has serviced projects across the country for a number of years, and it was a bespoke tool designed specifically for dock projects and for trapping only. It was reaching end of life and would have required significant investment to bring it up to spec. Trap.NZ already provides many more features than Walk the Line and has a significant user base across community and council operated projects. So after a lengthy review, it was decided to merge the missing features of Walk the Line into Trap.NZ and retire Walk the Line and just have one tool for across the land. The major missing feature from the Trap.NZ app, which I'm working hard on at the moment, is the proximity-based automatic record system. This allows the app to generate default records when in close range to an installation. That's a massive time saver and a welcome addition to Trap.NZ. So in a nutshell, if you walk within a designated range of a trap, it'll mark that as being serviced with whatever default settings you put into your app. And you can then, at the end of the line, review which ones you've serviced, which ones have got wrong, and then submit the whole lot as one go. So yeah, big time saver. Looking forward to that being done. Another feature that we integrated some time ago now is our camera traps. So if you add a monitoring station to via the app, and then, or a monitoring station as a camera type, you can then pick up your SD card and drop the SD card onto the website, and it'll automatically resize all your images and remove all the duplicates, and then gives you the option of uploading for AI recognition, or you can manually tag the photos with the photos with the animal type that you've seen. One of the problems we have with this now, and the reason it says beta at the top, was the AI recognition was supposed to be done by a third party. Unfortunately, COVID really messed things up for them, and we've not been able to finish the AI bit a bit. But the way we've built the tool, it could farm that out to any AI API service. So we're looking for that functionality at the moment. So it'd be good to hear of anybody working on such things that would like that integrated. So this is a big time saver for people as well, and it's there to use now. And another one we're working on is integration with the Cacophony project. So they produce some amazing technology, and we use that a lot here at Whiriwhiri, and that's a significant amount by using it. They don't have a means to map where their installations go, or assignment to people or projects. So it's something we do very well. So the integration of the two will make that a lot easier to manage for everybody. So those are some of the things that are coming up shortly. So that was pretty quick, but that's about it. We did have some questions come through, which I can go through now.
Cool.
One of those.
I'll just say thank you, Andy. That's really, really inspiring. We've had some great comments coming through of how inspiring it is. But yes, do you want to answer the questions? So I did ask people if they wanted to have some specific questions answered, they could send them through to me, and I've sent those to Andy. So do you want to answer those first, and then we'll get to the questions that have come in while you've been speaking?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay, cool.
First question, on the property that I have over 100 times dock 200 traps, I also take care of the rabbits, hares and possums, which I shoot. Is there a way to include them on my Trap.NZ site? So I assume you want to include the things that you've shot there. We have a feature that's half built and just needs to be built into the app, which we call ad hoc kills. So it could be something that you've run over on the driveway or whatever. So it gives you the ability to add those ad hoc things. It could be something that you've seen, an observation of a bird, might have seen a moa or whatever. You can add those. So that's coming. Can't give you a timeline on that. We've been saying it's coming for quite a while, but it's playing second fiddle to some of the major features. What a lot of people do is they will add a trap of type undefined, and they'll call it shot or shooting or whatever type of observation they like. And you could add a few of those to specific areas. So if you shoot something within this 500 square meter area, then you can add it to that one. So that's one way of logging. It's not ideal for the moment, but it is something that you can do, and then filter those out later on as you need to. The second question was, I have no mobile coverage at my house. None of the traps I check are within range of a cellular network. I do have a computer and I am online currently with an extremely slow service. So the app will work offline. As soon as it gets network coverage, it will sync up. So anywhere along the journey, it will do that. If you've taken photos along the way, those will be queued last for upload. So if for any reason they fail, at least your records do get through. As soon as you get back to the house, as long as your phone has Wi-Fi turned on and you've got Wi-Fi at home, that will connect up and sync up that way. So you need one of those things to happen. If you haven't got Wi-Fi at home, then yeah, there's an issue. You'd have to do it via the website, unfortunately.
Okay, so
cover those ones. What else you've got there?
Thanks, Andy. So the costs that you mentioned at the beginning there per compared to the live catching and the kill trapping, does that take into account the cost of the traps?
No, but at $40, while we're looking at these cage traps costing around just over $300. And we're hoping that the price can be brought down significantly, certainly as the automatic lure dispensers. There's more of those coming on the market soon, and that will bring the price down again.
Right.
So if you're looking at $100 for a dock 200, then that very quickly pays for itself. So yeah, we didn't include it in that price for that reason.
Okay.
And those numbers could do with some proper scrutiny, but that's what we think we're saving by using this. Yeah.
Cool. So someone's asked the source, where you've got the source for the smart cages.
The source?
Yeah, I'm assuming, like, where do you get your smart cages from?
Predator-free Franklin actually import them, and we have them custom made.
Oh, okay.
And the sensors themselves we have produced locally, and the lure dispenser at the moment is the Zip motor lure. Yeah, so it's something that we assemble here. There's nothing to stop anybody doing it themselves. You just need those components, but we do it here, and we do it almost at cost. So it's a
Was that something you could share with us maybe afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually, if you check out the Predator-free Franklin website, there's a shop section on there.
Okay.
You can pre-order them if it's something you're interested in.
Cool. So Whiriwhiri is a rural project. So how do you dispose of your animals? Do you shoot them in the live traps?
The ones in the cages, yeah. Generally, we suggest using high power slug gun or a .22 rifle with the shot shells. Don't use a solid lead, that'll destroy your cage very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so someone did ask what the cost of the smart cages were, which you've covered, but is there a minimum amount that you have to purchase, or can you just buy, like, can you buy one, or do you have to buy a certain number?
You can buy one.
Okay. Do the smart, and then with the lure or the bait, do you change that each time you get an animal, or does it last for a certain amount of time in the live trip?
Yeah, motor lure, Zip suggested 12 months. I think it's slightly less than 12 months, but we do have people in the habit of when they take an animal out, they want to see that there's mayonnaise there. They don't trust that it's going to drop that night, so they will give it a twist or put the magnet next to it to feed some through. So I think that kind of eats into it a little bit, but it's an interesting one. Somebody asked a question about putting in all those none records. I've been to rebate the thing, or I've been to check it. We don't do that here. We go home and we get on with our lives until the sensor goes off or a sensor says it's not responding. The mayonnaise takes care of itself, and so yeah, it's a big time saver. It costs $1 worth of mayonnaise a year as well. That's what we think goes into those things.
And so could you give us a monthly or annual maintenance cost of the smart cages? Sorry. You think?
$1 a year for mayonnaise. You'd have to replace the batteries in the sensor. We don't know how long they last. Somewhere between 3 and 5 years, and it's $5 worth of batteries in those, and the motor lure battery, they quote between 7 and 10 years. So we're yet to come across we haven't changed the battery yet. So in time we will, but yeah, really cheap. The sensors themselves, when we had those built, we said we didn't want a subscription. If it was a subscription model, it was never going to work. That just doesn't scale, and it kind of brings projects down. So we said, no, it has to be free to use. You buy the thing, you own it.
Cool. Can the AT220 link into TrapNZ when the kills are recorded?
Well, that's a good question. I was talking to an AT220 developer yesterday. We have had shock sensors attached to them, and that links through to Trap.NZ. And that was quite neat to watch. We were watching possums pile up over a period of minutes as they lined up. So yes, they can. You've got the choice of attaching whatever you like to those in terms of sensor. Just find one that works. Our sensors we're having produced locally, they would certainly work. So yes, but there's nothing built into the AT220 yet to do that. And I think it's something they're looking at.
Okay. So that going back to the smart traps notifications, are they done on vibrations or single trip?
They're done on single trip. They're door open or shut.
Right.
We actually trialed vibration with the cages, and it was a was a disaster. Every time a possum jumped on top of the cage, we knew about it, and then of course we'd need to go and visit the cage.
Gotcha.
And we're back to where we would have been with any other trap. So it was or with a live capture cage without a sensor. So that's So all you want to know is when the door is open or closed.
Yeah. Got okay. Excellent. And how have you managed transitioning trappers from walking the trap lines, to just checking when the alert says that a trap needs checking? And with the live trap cages, how do people manage the actual killing? Oh, okay. So we've talked about that a little bit, but
yeah, we haven't transitioned anybody to walking
no.
lines. We couldn't get people to walk lines in the first place. So
Yeah.
Or the ones that were, they'll do it every 3 or 4 months and say that's job done or cleared the area, and So
yeah. Okay. And then if they don't have a gun, how do people kill the animals? They just have to use a gun.
Yeah, call somebody who does.
Okay.
That's an issue. So a slug gun is, not everybody wants to kill an animal.
No.
I mean, my take on it is, if you set a trap, you're a killer. So yeah, it's that mental hurdle you got to get over, but not everybody will. And we're fortunate here that somebody will, we've created that community of people where somebody will look after you. So, but a slug gun, you don't need a license for.
Okay.
So.
Cool. And can you provide some timings around integration of camera traps and cacophony project work streams? Also the walk the line integration with TrapNZ as well, in terms of, when that might happen, do you think?
Yeah, walk the line. That should be done by Christmas, we're thinking. Or certainly it'll be in testing by Christmas. When doc transition over, that's a separate question, I think, but I think a lot of the features will be in there, and some of them already are. The tile management for large projects, that's already gone into the app. So you could, the way it was, you could create a project the size of the North Island, and the app would try to download all those tiles. So that was an oversight that we never imagined would be on somebody's agenda, but it was on docs. So the cacophony stuff. Yeah, good question. I couldn't give you a timeline on that. Sorry.
Okay. Just somebody suggested that the AT220s could be an alternative to the smart cages for those without a gun. And then going back to the new app, someone said, thank you for creating a new app to use. Currently on Walk the Line, and we have lots of issues. Really looking forward to the easy numbers reports so we can have the correct traps out for target pests. I manage 240 traps at a wetland, so it's not easy. So there we go. That's a good thumbs up there. Shooting is harder in an urban setting due to regulations. Do you have any urban trapping groups used your methods?
Not the cages.
No.
Or not that I know of. I mean, I say that there's plenty of cat colony people who are using cages already, and they will be terminating cats, and I imagine they're taking them away to do that. So no easy answers there. We're, I guess, fortunate that we have the landscape to do that in, but
yes, that's right. And I guess, looking at that large scale landscape, then this is a way that's making it possible to happen, whereas before it wouldn't have happened, and you'd be just not getting the bird numbers that you are. So is it possible to embed the TrapNZ map into other websites?
Yeah, absolutely. If you, I don't know if we can collate people who email addresses of people who are interested, but I can certainly get those details, or I can pass it to you, Nadine, and you can put it up.
Okay. And I can send it out to people, because what I'll do is after this session, we're recording this, as you know, so we'll send the link out to everybody that's come along today and who's registered, and if you weren't able to join us, you can watch a later date, or and then I can send out those things. Somebody else asked for the flyer that you mentioned before to get people going, so we'll do that sort of stuff. And what brand of sensors are you using? I had the same issue with vibration. What brand of sensors are you using had the same issue with vibration? Sorry.
Yeah, the vibration tells you too much. It's really interesting to know that there's something there, and and certainly in live capture scenario, it creates more work for you. We are using one that's produced locally by FerroNet. It's actually it's part of a piece of work we're doing for Predator Free 2050. So it was built by a local guy. We haven't scaled it up yet. We're working out if that's something that he wants to do. So yeah, it's bespoke for this purpose. And yeah, before I go selling too many, I really need to cover it with him. But yeah, the intention was that that's what would happen. So okay. Yeah, again, I can provide more details to you if people are interested in that.
Yeah, because somebody's asked if they could buy a sensor to attach to the AT220, so that would be good.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they use LoRaWAN coverage. So you'd need to have LoRaWAN coverage in your area, and if you needed to, you'd have to buy a gateway and aerial, and those things cost anywhere between $100 and $500 to set one up. But once you set one of those up, they will do a range of, well, we get sensor notifications from about 80 kilometers away, and they will service up to 10,000 sensors. So yeah, you're doing your whole neighborhood a favor if you put one in.
Awesome. Well, that's the end of our questions today, and we're doing really well because we were hoping to have this during lunchtime where you can hopefully you bought your cup of tea and something to eat while you've been listening. And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming along today and joining in on our webinar about TrapNZ, and to thank you very much, Andy, for coming along and sharing all that amazing technology that you're doing to catch lots of trap pests out there, trap and catch pests out there and improve the bird life. Congratulations on all of that. Yeah, and I know I think I remember Andrew Sinclair saying that the bird kiriru numbers you've got there are higher than on Maungatautari in the rural landscape.
Apparently so. Yeah, we don't have as many kiwi yet, but that would be nice.
That'll be the next next on the list, is it? Yeah.
And what's interesting is we did ruru counts over the last week or so, and there's been the link with ruru demise and broodificum use, and I think all the science suggests the opposite when you're using bait stations, that the ruru numbers go up. And that's exactly what we found here. I think in a 1 5-minute period, standing on the top of the hill here, the neighbour and I counted 9, and we're averaging about 4 or 5 over the 5-minute slots. So yeah, good ruru numbers. So yeah, that's something that we were loosely talking about building into Trap.NZ as well. So it's a loose idea, not making any promises there, but yeah, it'd be nice to have.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you, Andy. I was just going to do a karakia to close, and just also wanted to do another shout out for the fact that we're in Conservation Week. Due to lockdown, we had a couple of other events that we wanted to organise in person, which we weren't able to do, but hopefully we can do that at a later date. And it's all about getting connected to nature, and I think that's what we're trying to do here, is improve our native biodiversity and halt the devastating impact that the introduced predators have on our native biodiversity. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming along and for your great questions. Andy, for your great knowledge. It's great to have you here, and I'll just close with kua mutu mātou mahi mō tēnei wā, mana ki tia mai mātou katoa, o mātou hoa, o mātou whānau, o ki te orangi. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you again at some stage. All right, and I'm going to end now.